This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
Two cooperation agreements have been signed in Oran between the National Chamber of Fisheries and Aquaculture and both the National Office for Animal Feed and the National Agency for Microcredit Management on the sidelines of the 10th International Fisheries and Aquaculture Exhibition, SIPA 2025. Medical sources in Gaza hospitals have reported receiving the bodies of 15 Palestinians released by the Israeli occupation authorities through the International Committee of the Red Cross. And the UN Special Advisor on the Prevention of Genocide, Chaloka Beyani, has warned of possible mass atrocities in al-Fashir in western Sudan that fell last month to the Rapid Support Forces. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail from Radio Algeria International. First in our news, two cooperation agreements have been signed in Oran between the National Chamber of Fisheries and Aquaculture and both the National Office for Animal Feed and the National Agency for Microcredit Management on the sidelines of the 10th International Fisheries and Aquaculture Exhibition, SIPA 2025. Mariam Bershi has more details in this report.
The first agreement was signed by the Director General of the National Chamber of Fisheries and Aquaculture and the Deputy Director General of the National Office for Animal Feed, according to whom the agreement aims to strengthen cooperation in the marketing of aquaculture products, particularly freshwater species such as red tilapia, by integrating them into the aforementioned office's national network of sales network. For his part, the Director General of the National Chamber of Fisheries and Aquaculture indicated that the initiative is part of an effort to overcome the difficulties confronting producers in marketing certain species, such as red tilapia, by ensuring regular distribution channels that contribute to market stability. The second agreement was signed by the Director General of the Chamber and the Director General of the National Agency for Microcredit Management and aims to support young entrepreneurs in the blue economy sector by providing training and financing for micro-enterprises. The support includes training in aquaculture and business management, in addition to supporting projects with a value not exceeding 1 million Algerian dinars. These two agreements are part of the efforts to support the development of the fisheries and aquaculture sector and to promote the integration of young people into this promising economic sector.
Meanwhile, the Directorate General of Fisheries and Aquaculture at the Ministry of Agriculture, Rural Development and Fisheries is preparing to launch a new digital platform dedicated to marketing red tilapia. Speaking to the press on the sidelines of the 10th International Exhibition of Fisheries and Aquaculture, SIPA 2025, now being held in the western province of Oran, the director of the Directorate General of Fisheries and Aquaculture, Miloud Tria, indicated that the project is in its final stages. He added that this platform will allow red tilapia farmers whose fish are raised in fresh water from all over the country to market their products, while its management will be entrusted to the National Chamber of Fisheries and Aquaculture. Mr. Tria indicated that this digital platform will allow any red tilapia producer in Algeria to register and enter their data, including the production, municipality, or region, as well as their production schedule. The Minister of Labour, Employment and Social Security, Mr. Abdelhak Seihi, has held talks in Doha, Qatar, with the Iranian President's Assistant for Social Affairs, Dr. Ali Rabi'i, during which they reviewed ways and means to enhance bilateral cooperation. A statement issued by the ministry today said that the meeting, which took place on the sidelines of Mr. Seihi's participation in the second Global Summit on Social Development held in Doha, was an opportunity to expound the social policies implemented in Algeria for the benefit of various segments of society and allowed both sides to express their readiness to intensify coordination and expand bilateral cooperation in the fields of labor and social protection in a way that serves their common interests within the framework of the strong and distinguished fraternal relations that bind the two brotherly countries. It is worth noting that the talks were held in the presence of the Algerian ambassador to Qatar, Mr. Saleh Atiyah, and members of the delegations of both countries, according to the same source. Now, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and world leaders have urged governments to take immediate, decisive actions and pull efforts to combat climate change. Mr. Guterres made the urgent call while addressing the opening session of a two-day leaders' meeting to discuss pressing climate change challenges and commitments ahead of the 30th United Nations Climate Change Conference, commonly known as COP30, to be held from November 10 to November 21 in Brazil's Amazon city of Belém. The Secretary General called for urgent action to lower global temperatures and preserve the 1.5 degrees Celsius limit, a pillar of the 2015 Paris Agreement. Guterres stressed that all nations must reach a net zero, then net negative future powered by renewables, with strong support for developing countries through finance, cooperation, and technology, calling for speed and solidarity in action. Let's listen to Mr. Guterres.
The fossil fuel age is ending. Clean energy is rising. Let us make the transition fair, fast and final. Last year, 90% of new power capacity came from renewables. Global investment in clean energy reached $2 trillion, 800 billion more than fossil fuels. Renewables are now the cheapest source of new electricity in nearly every country. At COP28, countries agreed to transition away from fossil fuels in a just, orderly and equitable manner and to triple renewable energy capacity and double energy efficiency by 2030. The mandate is clear. Now we must close the delivery gap.
And leaders from Brazil, France, Chile, and other countries joined Guterres in his call for swift and joint efforts to combat climate change. For his part, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva called in his opening address for accelerating the energy transition to renewable sources and strengthening environmental protection. The Minister of National Education, Mohamed Saghir Saadawi, has participated in the election of the Director General of the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, Egyptian Khalid Ahmed Al-Anani, during the 43rd session of the organization's General Conference held in Samarkand, Uzbekistan. A statement issued by the ministry indicated that following the election of Mr. Khalid Ahmed Al-Anani as Director General of the organization of UNESCO, Algeria expresses its sincere congratulations and best wishes for his success in his new duties at the head of this prestigious organization. The Minister of National Education, on behalf of the Algerian government, also commended the trust placed in Mr. Khalid Al-Anani by the member states, affirming Algeria's readiness to continue its fruitful cooperation with UNESCO to promote the values of education, science and culture, and to support international efforts aimed at achieving inclusive, equitable and quality education for all, in line with the priorities of Sustainable Development Goals. On the sidelines of his participation in the conference, Mr. Saadawi met with the spokesperson for the government of the Union of Comoros, Fatima Ahmed. The meeting provided an opportunity to exchange views on ways to strengthen cooperation between the two countries. Shifting now to the Middle East, where Hamas has handed over the latest captives' body to the Israeli occupation as part of the ceasefire deal signed 4 weeks ago. Meanwhile, the death toll in the Gaza Strip continues to rise, reaching 69,169 due to the Israeli and Zionist massacres and bombardments that are continuing. 5 more captives' bodies are believed to remain buried under the rubble. Medical sources in Gaza hospitals reported receiving the bodies of 15 Palestinians released by the Israeli occupation authorities through the International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC. The 15 bodies arrived at Nasr Medical Complex in Khan Yunis in the southern Gaza Strip, bringing the total number of bodies received to 300. And Turkey's Chief Public Prosecutor's Office in Istanbul has issued a warrant or an arrest warrant against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and 36 other senior officials on charges of war crimes, genocide and crimes against humanity in Gaza. The warrants were approved by the Istanbul Criminal Court following a wide-ranging investigation into Israel's military operations in Gaza since October 7, 2023, with Turkish authorities said resulted in the deaths of thousands of civilians and the destruction of vital infrastructure. Swedish parliamentarians have reaffirmed their country's traditional position on the Sahrawi question based on international law, expressing their firm rejection of the new trade agreement signed between the European Union and Morocco at a high-level conference organized by the Parliamentary Friendship Group with the Sahrawi people. Swedish MPs expressed their firm rejection of the new agreement signed between the European Union and Morocco, which illegally includes Western Sahara, stressing the need to strictly comply with the rulings of the Court of Justice of the European Union in this regard. Ubi Bushraya and the Polisario Front lawyer denounced the agreement and all the violations it contains, notably regarding the consent of the Sahrawi people as a prerequisite for any agreement. And the UN Special Advisor on the Prevention of Genocide, Chaloka Beyani, has warned of possible mass atrocities in Al-Fashir in Western Sudan that fell last month to the Rapid Support Forces RSF. Mariam Bershi has more details in this report.
Recently appointed to this position, Mr. Bayani stressed that serious violations of international human rights law, direct attacks against civilians, a disregard for international humanitarian law are being reported in Al-Fashir. The senior UN official, who said he had discussed the matter with the UN humanitarian coordinator in Sudan, Denise Brown, plans to submit an advisory opinion to the Secretary General, the Security Council, and the entire United Nations system soon, insisting that the threshold is about to be crossed and therefore preventive action is needed. Images and testimonies released in recent days have revealed atrocities committed by the RSF in Al-Fashir, the capital of North Darfur, which was seized by the militia from government troops at the end of October after more than 500 days of siege. The International Criminal Court, ICC, said it was deeply alarmed by reports of massacres, gang rapes and summary executions in Al-Fashir, where the UN has officially declared a state of famine. Meanwhile, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, warned of preparations underway for new fighting in Sudan's Kordofan region, a strategic area located between the capital Khartoum and Darfur. This came as the Rapid Support paramilitary forces announced on Thursday that they had accepted a humanitarian truce proposal presented by mediators. But despite this commitment and the capture less than 2 weeks ago of Al-Fashir, the army's last major stronghold in the West Darfur region, the paramilitaries now appear to be concentrating their efforts eastward towards Khartoum and Kordofan, an oil-rich region. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, said that traumatized civilians were still trapped in Al-Fashir and prevented from leaving.
And still in Africa, the UN World Food Programme, WFP, has announced that the number of people facing acute food insecurity in Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC, has almost doubled since last year. Mariam Bashir reports again.
Cynthia Jones, WFP Director for the DRC, said during a video conference with the press in Geneva that 1 in 3 people in the eastern provinces of the DRC, North Kivu, South Kivu, Ituri, and Tanganyika, is facing a critical or even worse hunger situation representing more than 10 million people. She added that among this population, 3 million people are in a state of food emergency, meaning that they are experiencing extreme food shortages and very high rates of malnutrition, while deaths due to hunger are already being observed. Faced with this situation, Mrs. Jones indicated that her organization was only able to reach a tiny fraction of the people in need due to a critical lack of funding and complex access difficulties. Eastern DRC has been plagued by conflict for 30 years. The violence has intensified since January with the capture of the cities of Goma and Bukavu by the M23 armed group.
And with this last piece of news, we come to the end of this news bulletin for today. We leave you now with our weekly program, special program devoted to the book fair, Sila, with my colleague Asia Bakar. As for me, I'll meet you again tomorrow. And for more news, don't forget to join have a look at our Facebook page, our X platform, and also our application, My Algerian Radio. Thank you and see you tomorrow.